Oh, setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. Alright. We are now live.
A good guy, you can tell me your life.
Alright.
Are we live, skis?
Yes, we're live.
Hey!
Hello!
Hey!
And
Hello,
welcome
guys!
to podcast number 2 with Joey and James. This is the JJ Brothers.
Thanks for coming, guys. Those of you who are on, we're just working out a different system this week.
We are.
So we're talking self-love. We've got a beautiful guest coming on the show. We've got great things to talk about.
Definitely do.
We've got prize giveaway as well.
We do. But we've decided that off the back of last week, we're a bit fast, we're a bit rushy. So we're going to try and slow today down. And the way we're going to do that is starting with a bit of a guided meditation. So I would love to lead you through a guided meditation. So
is there anyone online at the moment? Can we check? Because we apparently could check.
We'll just quickly check. Yeah, if you jump onto our page, the JJ Brothers.
The JJ Brothers 2020, I believe it is. That way we can see if anyone can see our sound. Just check our sound too before we continue. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Pages.
So we have Tanya Scott is watching.
Hey Tanya.
Tanya, are you able to tell us what the sound sounds like? Give us an indication if it's all good.
Cool. Cool.
Oh, you're watching. So that's perfect. All right.
Awesome, man. That's awesome.
All right, so it's working.
She said it's working?
Well, it's working on your phone, so it's a good sign.
Oh, well. Duh. What did he... I just checked it on my phone.
That's why I'm the tech guru.
Yeah. He's the nerd. He's the nerd of the group. I'm the cool guy, but I'm also
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with a guided meditation. So please find yourself somewhere comfortable. Try and sit to the ground if you can. Get a nice straight spine and a nice relaxed position. Close your eyes if you can. It will help you along this journey. Let's start with 3 deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and let it all out through the mouth. All the stress of today, all the stress of this week, all the negative thoughts in your mind. Picture yourself sitting on a beautiful beach with white sand, the waves rolling in, the hot sun against your skin. What can you smell? Can you smell the salt in the air? What can you feel? Can you feel the sand underneath your feet? Can you feel the wind through your hair? Take another nice deep breath. This time let's hold this breath. In through the nose and hold. And out through the mouth. Breathing out all that negativity. Now open your eyes. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm in a different mindset.
It's as simple as that, just to bring your energy down, to slow yourself down, slow down all that negativity, all the fast-paced life around us.
Yeah. Strip away.
Strip
away all the distraction.
Most definitely.
Strip away all the nonsense that has befelled, if that's a word.
It is a word now, Joey.
Befelled. B-E-F-E-L-D. I like creating words.
So today we have a legend of a man joining us, and his name's Cameron. For those of you who have seen the documentary How Mad Are You? Cameron is one of the participants on that show, and he was one of the guys who I actually got along with really, really well during our time down in Melbourne where it was filmed.
Do you want to come over a bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Tanya.
We're getting some advice through the comments, and we love to receive your comments, ladies and gentlemen. So please let us know if there's any improvements we can make, if there's anything that we can do to make this product better for you. And it's not just for us now live, but in the future, once we post this video to YouTube, give us some feedback. We're going to listen. We're here for you. We're here to empower you. We're here to make you feel better. So Cameron's joining us very shortly. He's actually waiting in the waiting room now for him to be admitted, but we just wanted to quickly just have a chat to each other. So Joey, I wanted to know, how's your week been? How are you at? Where's your head at? How are you feeling? Has it been a tough week? Has it been an easy week? What's been going on for you?
Man, as you know, I'm no different to any human on this planet. I've got challenges myself, and I've had some amazing wins. I had my first night shift last night. I worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and I've never done that. And
you're here.
I'm here.
You're here after the night shift.
Yeah, man, it's amazing.
I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you, brother.
And your energy's still great.
Yeah,
even though I've slowed you down with the meditation.
I wouldn't say slow. I think you've settled.
You've settled.
You've given me a sense of peace.
Beautiful.
But I got to talk to, Stephen Bernstein, an amazing ambassador for film in the United States. I got to do a Zoom interview, which you had a cameo appearance.
I did have a cameo appearance.
Perfect timing.
Apparently I look a lot like Stephen Bernstein's nephew.
Yeah, that's what he said. Alex, I think it was. Yeah.
Must be a very good looking man.
That's what you said.
I use the same joke twice because that footage hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, man, a lot's happened this week. I'm really looking forward. We're collaborating a lot behind the scenes to bring about some amazing content for the future. Yep. We've booked 4 weeks in ahead. 4 weeks ahead, we've booked people in for interviews. So that's really exciting.
It's been very productive from the business standpoint.
Yeah. And I have been training a little bit for this. So sound is very low, guys. Again.
That's very interesting.
That's what my mother said. How about now? What about if we talk into the mic a bit more and a bit louder? Because we're trying to solve the audio. We're not really tech guys. Yeah,
but we have done quite a bit of work on the audio, so that's unfortunate to hear.
Yeah.
How's everyone else hearing the sound? If we can get a few different messages about the sound, would be great.
Yeah. Yes, please. That'll come through.
But I think there's a bit of a delay. Yeah. So I might, if you don't mind, just my week's been.
Sorry, I should have asked that for you before I got distracted by my mother.
And this is actually it's a great segue to something that I'd love to talk to you about just quickly before we get Cameron in here. And it's about the male conversation, and it's something that I do a lot in the Banksia project. And it's just about asking that second question or asking the return question. So with men, a lot of the time it will just be, how are you? And the response is a reaction. It's like, I'm good, how are you? It's not really the response that you're looking for. And a lot of the time when it is so automated, you're not really digging deep. So you could potentially not be good, but you just say good because it's an automated response. So it's really important to ask those second questions. So if Joey, I ask you, hey mate, how are you?
Yeah, in general, the initial response quickly would be, if you do that again, I'll show you what most people do.
Yeah, so Joey, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, man. How you going?
Are you really good, man? I know you've been a bit
low
this week.
I'm fine.
Are you sure? Is there anything you want to talk about? Everything's safe with me. It's just confidential between us, mate. We're friends. Like, you can let me know anything.
Well, man, thank you for that. Well, I'm struggling with a few things in life, actually. I didn't think you'd be there for me, but thank you.
I love you, Joey. I'm always here for you, bro.
Thanks, brother.
And this is something that a lot of people don't do. It's something that women do a lot better than men. We sort of just allow that surface conversation to flow, and then we start to talk about things like sport, things that aren't related to us, sport, movies, pop culture, music, whatever it is, just other topics to lead our minds away from the seriousness of a potential deep conversation. But especially in today's time when mental health is such a big deal, we really need to ask those second questions as men and as women as well, and really find out about those people that we care about, because a lot of the time we don't ask until it's too late, and we don't want to be put in that position.
Sorry, man, for distracting you. Okay. So we're still having a few issues with the sound, apparently. It's very low, and I'm happy to just continue to make sure. Maybe we have to speak up a little bit. Maybe we have to...
I might quickly try and put the gain up.
Sorry, guys. Thanks so much. Maybe we'll take this time to reflect on our day a little bit, and see what was maybe it's a little too high because it goes into the mic, to the sound, to the stereo. So if there's any issues you're facing lately, let us ponder. And how's that sound, guys?
So we've just turned up the gain a little bit on the microphone. Hopefully that helps.
Turn up your phones.
So Michael Nicoletti said that it's your fault, not our fault. But we
yeah, I just got that. Thank you, Michael.
But we're sure that there is some audio issues on our part, and we're gonna continue to improve. And I think for now, let's just kick off and keep moving forward, and we will invite Cameron into the conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, man. If you're ready, I'm ready. If Cameron's ready, excited. Oh, Cameron!
And there he is.
Thank you, Michael.
But we're sure that there is some audio issues on our part. Cameron, you must have been watching us, mate. We're going to have to ask you just to mute that. How dare you watch us?
I might turn back the noise Tanya's saying. It's got an echoing noise. So you work out his sound if you want.
Cam, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
There was no audio issues when I was listening. I think people just need to turn up their volume.
There we go. It's seconded now that, ladies and gentlemen, just please turn up your volume. Thanks for that feedback, Cam.
Cameron, thanks so much for joining us, brother. Thank you very much for coming on the show this week. I watched How Mad Are You, as James recommended to do that, and it was a phenomenal show. And thank you for being so open and honest on that show, particularly.
My pleasure.
We're really looking forward to diving into the realm of your world, and it's a safe space. So just reiterate, James, I know you don't know me personally, but I'm exactly the same as him, just more better looking or more hair.
Good. Okay.
I'm not better looking. We'll take a vote.
There's no votes. It's not about who's better looking. But Cam, we'd love to know, how are you? How's your week been? How are you feeling today?
Can I swear?
You can swear.
Yeah, man.
Does that answer your question? Honestly, this week ate a bag of dicks. I'll tell you that. I went into the week hoping it was going to be good. Thank God it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Cheese Toasty Friday. We have a little routine in the house. Friday's Cheese Toasty day. But this week was supposed to start great. For the first time in 18 years, I've actually started back in therapy. So I can finally organise some time to meet with a psychiatrist again. So it's just been me banging it together for the past 18 years. But we've started back, so that's been huge. I've been super happy with that. But coinciding with that, we thought part of a conversation we were going to try new medication, and again, first new medication in 18 years. So we started that off, and started that Sunday night. We're going to get off the booze for a bit, see if we can get this medication working, and side effects happen. So in the process, one of the side effects is that you have an irregular heartbeat, which is rare. So that started happening.
I might just stop and let's just take a step back, just because there might be some people who haven't seen How Mad Are You. So can we just go through where the background is there prior to diving into where the current moment is? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
thank you so much, Cameron, for being genuine and open and honest.
Definitely. For being so open and vulnerable, mate. You've just kicked it off straight away. So you've actually caught me off guard. But yeah, if you don't mind, just backtracking a few steps, let's talk about maybe even when you first received your diagnosis, something along those lines.
Yeah, look, 2001, I received the diagnosis of schizophrenia. So, so that at the age of 24 certainly changes your life. And the best way to describe my reaction to it was stereotypical. And we've had no recorded history of mental illness in our family. So when you get the word schizophrenia thrown at you, I don't know what the equivalent is in New South Wales, but I immediately thought that, within the next 2 years, I'm going to be pushing cans in a shopping trolley along Flinders Street Station. That was the stereotype, and that was everything that I've been raised with. Yeah. But the result of that was it was a breakdown that occurred from various large bouts of trauma that occurred at intermittent spots over my upbringing. And so at 24, I was right smack bang in the stereotype of someone who is diagnosed quite often with a complex mental health issue. So be it schizophrenia or bipolar or something like that.
Yeah, from both your guys' experience, particularly, and on the back of what you're saying, it is a common thing for people to be gobsmacked when a word or a particular.
It's the stigma around mental health, the stigma around diagnoses, and the stigma around just not being as the strong man that society wants you to be, where you're not feeling emotions and not expressing emotions and not talking about how you feel, and not doing what we're doing right now.
Exactly. So that, I lost a lot of friends as a result, because they'd already been brought up with the stereotypes, just like me. So I don't blame anyone, but if I was to look at it from the perspective of not the 1 in 5 who got the diagnosis, which was me, and I was the other 4 in 5, and I'd been raised with the exact same stereotypes as everyone else, of course I would have been afraid. Of course I would have seen it as flaw, as a weakness, as not stoically just sucking it up and getting into it. And so, it's 2000, 2001 when that diagnosis occurred. So I don't blame anyone. Today, I wouldn't blame you, but I would question your integrity if you still choose to not talk about it. That's where I'd be now.
So you're encouraging people with a diagnosis to speak about their story, tell their story, because it might impact others and help them in a very positive way. Is that
very much so, especially with your friends. And if your mates, if you look at it now, with the benefit of the internet, we're all a little bit wiser. And if you look at it now and you're following this trajectory and then your mate gets diagnosed with something, you're not going to go off on that path anymore. You know your mate. You've grown up with your mate. You've been with your mate or your brother or your sister or someone. You've been with them for the first 20 odd years of their life. You've been through all of the fun. You've been through all of the hard stuff. Yeah. For them to get diagnosed, quite often nowadays, you'd be like, well, shit, that makes sense. Or, well, it didn't occur to me at all, but hey, look, we can actually fix it now.
Yeah. Yeah, we can work on it. And that's something that show particularly, the show that you were on, from what I saw, there were 3 professionals in the psychology industry, people that have been in the industry for such a long time, and they had no idea as to a lot of the conditions or predisposed conditions that people had been diagnosed by. So even the medical professionals still are uncovering what us as humans can learn from each other and from people like yourself, and I'm going to go into it as well later on in the show, my own personal diagnosis.
But I think it also showed that even at their professional level, when forced to show their true thoughts, they still had a stigma attached to all these diagnoses and all these
they were so adamant to apologize by saying, look, we think you might have this diagnosis. Look, we're sorry, and we sort of, my reaction was that that's fine, sort of thing. They didn't get.
I think they were a bit worried that you might come in with your staff, because you remind me of Gandalf the Grey. I think they were a bit worried that you might come in and say, "You shall not pass."
I did bring a prop. Look, I completely understand that, and a lot of people do feel vulnerable when they do say, "Hey, look, I'm not. Please know that I'm not trying to be offensive, but I just don't understand." And that's that's sort of, to me, I really love that, because it is completely open and completely honest. One of the questions that I ask in my head, because I tend to keep my opinions to myself otherwise, is when a person comes in with a pre-recorded judgment or pre-recorded categorization of the illness, I often ask, who's watching you in your own head? Like when you come out to it and say, what are you, an idiot? What are you, dumb? What are you this? In my head, I'm like, who's watching you when you're saying that? Who has brought you to this point where you have to behave that way in order to A, impress someone, B, show your own strength, C, show your own resilience to actually not be able to engage? And when you ask yourself that question and say, you know, who am I trying to get to watch me or approve of me when I say these things, which aren't open, honest, normal conversation? I find that it's a very easy answer if you're honest with yourself.
So are you implying as well that there is a partial tribalism from the majority in a sense that
absolutely
have a diagnosis?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
there is
they are bonding over the language they're using or the stigmas that they're sort of feeding.
Bonding. Ooh, that's a big one, man.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So it's like they're trying to connect, which is a basic human need, but on the premise of the stigma that you're saying. Like,
it's coming from a subjective standpoint rather than an objective one.
Yeah,
so interesting. So that's a really interesting way of thinking about that. And I think that might help a lot of people just to understand that concept. I think that's a great pathway towards the result. Yeah,
it's amazing that we're speaking about this. I'm so grateful for this awareness, that we're aware. People like us, we want to help raise awareness so that people who have gone through illness, like ourselves specifically, and yourself, don't feel uncomfortable. Because you mentioned, you know, the typical first thing to say is nothing. You don't want to tell people. Yeah. You're afraid. You're so scared.
The one thing that you must remember, though, if you are presented with this situation and you feel like you're going to say something wrong, or you do say something wrong and you regret it afterwards, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to fix.
I love that.
It's not but it's your responsibility to fix.
Yeah. So the thing is that you will come, your entire life has come to a point where you have preconceptions and judgments, and you know, this isn't just with mental illness, this is with many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've come to this point and you suddenly realize that was the wrong thing to say, but that's because somebody else taught me that. Well, that's because I was brought up to say, you must believe this, or you must believe that about that person, or about that group, or about that way of thinking. And then when you get to that point, from a scientific perspective, you're like, well, that was just completely wrong. That's not my fault, but now it's my responsibility to fix that.
So to be present of mind, to be able to know when you've stepped out of line, and to try and correct that and learn and educate yourself in order to be a better person, to grow.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of what Joey and I are trying to do. We're trying to empower people, and we're trying to encourage them to educate themselves in many fields, but particularly on themselves, on the self. And I think what you're saying now is so in line with what we want people to know. If you step out of line, you're not wrong. It's fine. That's part of your
It's called a mistake. It's not who you are.
Exactly.
We're human.
Right.
We're all human. We all make mistakes.
Exactly right. And it's just like having a car crash. We call it an accident. You're not doing it on purpose, but you don't want to do it again. If you make a mistake and you do the same mistake again, that's what you sort of call somebody who's in the wrong position. It's learning from our mistakes and growing and building and becoming better people. And it's something that Joey and I were talking about off air is we're always growing, we're always learning, and it's something that's never going to stop.
It's a bug. It's like a bacteria, a good bacteria.
It's something that everyone should have. Like,
I pray
as soon as we stop learning, as soon as we stop growing, that's when everything stops. And
as a parent of a nearly 5-year-old kid, one of the things that we've been so conscious of is that when our kid makes a mistake, we don't tell him he's bad, or we don't label him. We label the accident. We label the accident. Oh, that's not what we would do. That's a bit rude, or that's a bit this. Not you are rude or you are this, because it sticks with them. As soon as you start labeling the kid, they suddenly start internalizing it.
Yes.
I saw this astounding quote saying, the adult's internal dialogue is the voice of the parents as a child.
Wow.
Can you repeat that again and make that?
An adult's internal dialogue is the voice of the parents as a child.
Wow. I hope people just harness that.
Yeah.
I'm so in love with that notion.
That's so powerful.
And you articulating this, brother, because kids are our future. If you really care about this earth and you really care about the future, your legacy. The kids are our future. And what you're saying is concentrate on and be conscious of what you're telling them, what you're making them believe. We grew up with it. You grew up with it.
Yep.
You grew up with the stigmas that, you know, you trusted these mentors in your life, and all respect, because they cared for you as a little baby, you know. It's like, oh, you're so baby. You were vulnerable, you know. They could have just gone, hey, drop you.
But again, it isn't necessarily our parents' fault, though. You know, that's the thing, because our parents are flawed as well. You know, and so that's the thing. So they've done the best we can. We're doing the best that we can under the conditions at the moment. And so that's the thing. That's the loop that we have to break. We have to break that loop where we have to stand by everything that we've done and say, well, we did the best, so I'm going to defend it as the best. No, the first thing that I wish I'd said as a parent is, I've had this kid for an hour. I'm already going to make a mistake. You know, this is going to go on. You know?
I'm glad you can admit that, man.
Yeah.
You know, like telling the kid, showing the kid that, hey, I don't know everything. Maybe you can help me here.
Oh, yeah. My wife is all over that. She's like, there's going to be so many things I don't know. Hey, let's go find out, you know?
Yeah, because we have this connotation, right? We have this negative connotation, or not negative, I'd say limiting connotation to children. Like, children don't know anything. We were having this chat, my wife and I, today. Like, children don't know anything. What do they know?
So there's a beautiful woman by the name of Zena, and she just so happens to be my mother.
Hey!
Also, she's very educated in the counseling and psychology world. So she's said that what we're talking about is called parental tapes.
So look that up.
So that's something
Nice.
I'll educate myself on, because that you've introduced that notion to me, Cameron, and I really love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, parental tapes is that topic. If you want to learn a bit more about it, it's something that I'm definitely going to do after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've already made a note of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cam, I'm going to bring you back because I did cut you off before. So you were saying that this week you've gone back to therapy, and you've also started new medication. But what I might ask you is, because it's such a beautiful, vulnerable thing for you to go seek therapy, and it's something that we're encouraging people to do, especially now during this coronavirus crisis. What was the catalyst for you to seek out therapy?
Money.
Can you?
Bottom line, we, for the past, what are we, 2020 now, we just haven't been able to afford it. Complex mental health requires a complex bank balance.
Wow.
And that's the bottom line. I mean, you're looking at an average rate for a psychiatrist, which is what I need, because I need meds to go as well. You're looking at about $400 an hour.
Wow.
And so when I had my initial breakdown, I had help to pay for that. And after about 18 months, that had to stop, quite simply because of the cost. And it's just shit happens. Why is it that only the wealthy can actually get access to complex mental health therapy?
So as a result of not having the funds, your mental health suffered, and you suffered through not being able to afford help.
I've just had to basically, my wife and I've just had to bang it together for the past 18 years. Yeah. So.
That is not okay.
Some days it effing sucks. So but we're here and we're okay.
And you have a smile on your face, and you're trying to make jokes, and you're raising a child, and you're doing the absolute greatest. And there's nothing like you. People think that when you're diagnosed with a condition, you're in a different category. I just want to elaborate on that too. Whilst if you want to go back to a certain point, but like it's really important that we as humans evolve, we grow, we learn, we pass on what we've learned to our future generations. But we really try to remove the stigma attached to diagnosis. There's nothing wrong with someone with schizophrenia, with bipolar, with depression. It's just a combination of human behaviors that have been thrown upon them, and they've had to deal with certain situations in a certain way, and they've developed this so-called I wouldn't even call it disease, I call it ailment or impairment that society seems to see.
Yeah, complex mental health issue now. That's how we can look at it,
So we got a message through from Jack Jones. He's the program director at the Banksia Project, and Jack said, "It's such a shame that mental health clinicians can be so expensive. A constant compromise between justifying expenses and mental health care." And that's exactly what you've said, Cam.
And look, I'm not begrudging their incredible amount of intelligence and professional research and the things that they've done to get where they are, to be able to study the freaking human brain. Look, I do not judge that at all, but it's just currently the way that it is that we don't have the budgeting to be able to subsidise it well enough. Medicare will cover the costs of some of it, sort of thing, but there is still the issue of it just being expensive, because we're getting into the brain here, and the brain is a complex muscle.
Yeah,
it is. I certainly believe that, and I certainly was having a stream of consciousness, as Stephen Bernstein, reminded me to start doing. I was doing that in the shower. Stream of consciousness, which means just talk what you think. Just talk it out, and just whatever comes to the back of your head, just talk it out. Learn to harness that. And one of the things that I was talking about was like how do we. I guess I'm trying to remember it because I'm a bit baffled by the notion of Stephen Bernstein. Sometimes I'm in love with him. I'm truly in love with the man. And some of the times it's I've forgotten what I'm going to say here, so I'm going to leave it at that.
That's
and I'm
fine.
vulnerable in this motion.
We'll just roll with baffled, and I'm in love with him, and that's awesome.
So, Cam, you were saying that you started a new medication this week. And
Yeah.
You had a shitload of side effects.
Oh yeah. This week has fucking sucked. I'm over the half-life of it, so I stopped it after 3 nights. I take my meds at night because they're so sedentary that if I was to take them during the day, I would be the stereotype. I would be just like that. So we tried this new med at a low dose to mix with my current ones, and yesterday was the worst. Yesterday I woke up with just a shocking headache. Went and found that was literally the first side effect. The subsequent side effect is that you start getting sores on your lips, which I started getting as of yesterday as well. But the third one, which is a little bit further down, which is under the category of if this occurs, stop medication immediately and call your doctor, is that I started getting not ectopic, but actually really, really arrhythmic heart rate, which was ungood. And you sometimes get an ectopic beat, which is just an off beat, which occurs every this. It's quite common, but this is where you suddenly think, holy shit, what's going on? And that happened about 4 or 5 times yesterday. It would only last a few seconds, but you feel every second of it. And so I just stopped it straight away and called my GP, called the psych, and just said, hey, look, this happened. He's like, yeah, well, I think we just might stop that.
Yeah,
So
I just say thank you so much for being here, despite all that you've been through this week, mate.
No, the best thing I can do is get out there and talk about it. So stop it. It's all good. The best thing I can do is talk about it because
it is, man.
The side effect of the normal medication that I've been on was there are ones, but the one that I had was weight gain, and weight gain has always been a huge one. Like in the first 2 years when I was on the original one, I put on 40 kilos.
Whoa! Wow. Just from one particular medicine.
I was also on an antidepressant, which also had weight gain as well. But yeah, 40 kilos. We lost it. We lost it over. I think I lost it in about 7 months or something. But
when you lost it, when you lost the weight, was it were you still using the medication?
Yeah. No, I worked on a program with my psychiatrist at the time, and he because the weight was just freaking packing on, and so when I went and saw him, I just said, look, and this was one of our last sessions. He said, try this, and I did a thing called the Zone. The Zone. It was by this guy called Barry Sears, and it's not you're not doing shakes or any shit like that. It follows a principle of all food is protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And if you balance these 3 things, you balance your insulin levels. And if you balance your insulin levels, you metabolize fat. And that was the logic of it.
Yeah, there is a bro sort of version of that, which they call macro dieting. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's the idea, and I still follow basic principles of it. If, like for lunch, if I was to have a tin of salmon, a teaspoon of peanut butter, and an apple, you've got your protein, carb, and fat right there. So it's just that sort of principle. And we did it. It took me 7 months, and there was a calorific deficit. So, you know, I wasn't eating much, and we weren't supposed to exercise as well because it would cause, you know, lightheadedness, that sort of stuff. But it just shaved off me. Like it took 7 months. I was losing on average of, you know, 1.5 to 2 kilos a week as a fluctuation.
Yeah, we saw that you were in the background, sneaking through.
Such a big softie having a cat.
Oh, everyone's gonna love that.
Oh.
This is Professor Minerva McGonagall. She is
Wingardium Leviosa.
seriously, she's just an overweight retired version of Professor McGonagall who chose to permanently change into a cat. So yeah, we call her Minnie, and she's a total pain in the ass. But yeah, she's gorgeous.
Wow.
So I'd like to steer the topic a little bit before we sort of wrap it up. Cam, if you don't mind me asking a question, and you feel free not to revolve around personal detail or anything, or feel free to be open and honest. How do you give yourself self-love in this, amongst all this crisis? How do you give yourself a bit of love, bit of self-love? And
hang on, I've got some Barry White.
Barry White.
I know where that's going, Cam, you dirty bastard.
Is this something we have to talk about off air?
As soon as I saw the topic, self-love, I just in the back of my head, I just heard Barry White.
I get
it. You're the funniest guy ever, Cam. I love you.
This week, and this is what I want to talk about. This week,
Tell me.
Sorry, my brain's just got blank. Self-love. Okay, this week the thing that I've been monitoring, and that you know, we've been all over social media, is everyone's got projects. Like, you've got the free time to do all these projects or whatever. You know, you get out there, do some exercise, do this, do that, start a jigsaw puzzle, design a macrame set. I don't know. I just wanted to say that yes, I set out these routines to do all these projects, but I have successfully, absolutely failed at every single one of them. So the best thing I've done is I have completed the Super League in Micro Machines 2 on my old Sega Mega Drive.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! Talking Sega Master System or Sega Mega Drive?
It was the Mega Drive Mini that they released, and I had a copy of.
I think what you're saying is they re-released it in a little small version.
Yeah. So I modded it, and I had my copy of Micro Machines 2, so I modded it and put it on there. And so I'm harking back to, you know, sort of 19, 20-year-old me, and I dug it out, and I played it, and it was just completely useless, but that's what I've succeeded in this week.
I just wanted to touch on something that you quite openly and honestly said that you failed, and it's okay to fail.
It's okay to fail.
Yeah,
you can.
This
fail.
is the thing.
It's not the end of the world.
You don't have to go into things to succeed. You can fail and still succeed by learning.
That's it. Yeah.
If you succeed at one goal, and I was thinking about it. I was thinking, let's. My wife calls it the sliding doors thing, like in the movie. Let's slide indoors this moment, and let's imagine we are 100% back to normal. It's Thursday night, 6:30 at night. You know, we're just getting home from work. Thursday's usually payday. You're like, okay, I've just got home at 6:30. I want to cook something. Usually on payday, the fridge is empty, or you've got stuff that's going to take too long to cook. If you want to go, now you've got that extra 2 to 3 hours. If you cook yourself a fresh meal, and then you sit down and do that, and that's the one thing you've done the entire week because you've got that extra 2 to 3 hours. No, you've suddenly got all the free time you've always ever wanted. If that was in a normal environment, maybe you would actually break out that book you wanted to write or something like that. But I've been watching this Nat guy, this Nat's What I Reckon guy who's been doing...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
I've
seen that.
It's been hilarious. I did the pasta, I did the bolognese, the end of days bolognese, and it was delicious. And it took like 2 hours to do properly. And I started at like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon and just spent 2 hours doing it. And that was all that I did last week as a successful thing. But it meant a lot.
That's
And
beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah, we got a question for you from one of the viewers, Cam.
We hope you're still on, Michael, by the way. Sorry it took so long.
So, Michael,
go ahead.
what's the best advice for adolescents about taking the first steps to getting help?
From your own experience, and feel free to take your time with this because it is, you know,
Yeah,
it's a
big
difficult question.
But it's a
Yeah.
important
And it
question,
can
I
come from a real personal experience.
For adolescents, if you're going through a mental health issue now, if you're in a first stage psychosis or whatever your issue is, no one else is inside your head. No one else can make that decision for you. You have to make that decision. But the thing is, and the first thing that I guarantee that you are afraid of is what other people are going to think, because it's exactly what I thought. It was the first thing that I thought of. As soon as I received my diagnosis, I was worried about what other people were going to think. And that's just the way that I was raised. And so if you are there and you are 16 years old and you're 15 years old and you are sitting there and you're freaking out because of stuff that's going on in your head right now, the best thing you can do is go straight to your doctor. Get mum, get dad, get your guardian, whoever you've got, go to your doctor, because that is 100% what your GP is there to do. The day that I got it, we were in there. He wrote a list, my GP wrote a list, 5 names. The second one was available. I was in my first session the next day.
Amazing.
That is 100% what you do. Cut every bit of noise out of it. Fuck that off, because I guarantee that is what will hold you up. If money is an issue, there are bulk billing GPs that can do it, and they will get you there quicker than normal. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen overnight, but you make a beeline to that trained medical professional to get you help as soon as you need it. And anyone who stands in your way in 2020 and calls you a loser, calls you a fucking idiot, calls you weak, whatever, fuck them off.
Fuck them off.
I'm sorry. That is called the toxic relationship.
Yes.
Fuck them off.
Fuck them
I
off.
love that, Cam.
That's
I
Cam.
love that so much.
I think that's yours. Fuck them off.
Yeah.
Go to it from the side. Look at it.
Out of it.
Love it so much.
Yes.
Cam, we've been running short on time, but there's still a few other things that I wanted to talk to you about.
Sure.
One of them is SANE.
Yep.
Just wanted to know a little bit about your involvement with SANE. What do you do? What are you still doing? Is it something that's still active in your current day-to-day life?
I began with SANE as a peer ambassador, and the peer ambassador program speaks about the lived experience. That's literally what they do.
Sorry, Ken.
Speak about their lived experience.
Yep.
So you have people with bipolar, you have people with borderline personality disorder, you have people with schizophrenia, and we deal at SANE with the complex mental health. Now, in 2018, I joined the board of SANE. So I'm a lived experience director on SANE, so that's my specialty. Yay, So I've been with them now, I first joined them as a peer ambassador in about 2013, 2014. And so then in 2018, I became a member of the board there. And they have a couple of arms. They have the Ann Deverson Research Centre, which has just recently completed the Our Turn to Speak survey, which is the biggest survey into people with complex mental health issues. Wow. And all the data's being massaged from that. There's also the Dax Centre, which was started by Dr. Cunningham Dax. Now, he started collecting artwork and using artwork as a form of therapy for patients. And so he has one of the biggest collections in the world. I think there's only 3 or 4 in the world. He has one of the biggest ones. And the Dax Centre, which is located at Melbourne Uni, exhibits people's artwork who have complex mental health issues.
Wow.
So I've been doing all that work with them, and we're still underway. We're still doing our thing.
Receive some of the information from SANE. Do they just jump onto the SANE website if they want to?
Yep. The SANE website, sane.org. We also have the SANE forums. If you want to get on there and have a chat, there's lived experience forums there are forums there for people with lived experience and people who are carers. If you're just having a tough day, you can get on there and just actually. You guys probably have the links. Just post the links at the. If you can.
Definitely.
And look, anyone can go in there and join, and they're monitored. they're actually monitored forums. So they're an amazing thing. We're really proud of them.
Okay, and that's SANE. So we're going to move more to your personal
experience,
and we want to talk about the novel that you've written. The novel is Tears of Regret.
Hey.
So this man on your screen is an author, and he has released the book, which is available online.
Self-published author will say that, you know.
Congratulations, Cam.
Thank you, man. No, that was a wild one. Look, I decided to finish it and publish it myself because I entered a competition a while back called the Horatio Nelson Fiction Prize, which was run out of Black Balloon Publishing in New York. And I mean, I can't sit there and say it was proudly published by, you know, Penguin or something. It made the top 16 out of about 6,000 entries. So I thought, okay, well, this doesn't suck, so I better finish it. You know, so I finished it and published it, and I'm actually really proud of it. And it's an adventure. It's a fictional adventure, and if you're looking for something to read, it's my take on what we're doing to ourselves as a human race.
And if someone wants to get a hold of the book,
you can buy it on Amazon. If you just key in the Tears of Regret by me on Amazon. You can go to my website as well, and there's a link there. If you go to redoverchaos.com, Red Over Chaos, you can find a link there and various other bits of me. Yeah, you'll find me on there.
Cam, you're such an interesting person to talk to. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing time. We really hope people have gotten out what they wanted from there. Is there anything you wanted to share with everyone before we say goodbye, my lover?
Look, stay safe, stay sane, and if you're having trouble, talk to someone.
Perfect. And I think I'm just going to jump in before we go. Cam, if you remember earlier in the week, I asked you, what are your coronavirus survival tips?
Well, I mean, look, my first one is day drinking's okay so long as you feel guilty about it.
So you got to feel guilty, but you can drink.
You know, I don't advocate guilt, but day drinking is okay. You know, I actually would like to share a story. I have my own coronavirus mask. I'll show you this. But what is absolutely hilarious about that?
Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from?
I'm about to tell you. A mate of mine who I was mates with years ago brought that back to me because he used to work not only in China, but in Wuhan in China.
Oh,
wow.
And that is from China. And he worked in Wuhan for about 6 to 8 years, and it was a fairly long time ago. I haven't seen him or spoken to him in years, but he was around. He was over there during the SARS epidemic as well, so yeah, he has experience in China, and I dug that out, and I was thinking about it, and I actually had forgotten that he did bring it back from Wuhan in China for me. So it was quite a hilarious little piece of memento that I haven't worn it out in public yet. I think I'd actually probably need to be.
Do you want to donate it to the JJ brothers?
I think it's his, mate.
Okay.
I think I would need to be David to actually put this on, but I've used Halloween a couple of times. So.
Yeah, awesome. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us today, brother. You have been amazing.
My pleasure, guys.
Blown the stigma out of the water, and you've just really shown people what it's like to be vulnerable.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Thank you so much,
Cameron. We hope to see you again. Thank you.
See you guys.
Check out Cameron's book, The Tears of Regret. Check out the affiliation he's with as well, SANE. And also check out, this video again, rewatch it and take out the tips.
Thanks, Cameron. See ya.
See you guys. See you soon.
Fuck off.
No, we like Cameron. We love Cameron.
Yeah, we love Cameron, but I just love
amazing.
that. I really just love what he just did. He said it with passion, eh? Fuck them off. And you can tell when you watch someone, like when they're passionate about something, they're just, what a beautiful man.
He's a really good man. He's very articulate, very intelligent. Please check out his website. Check out sane.org.
Yeah.
Check out his book. So last week we gave away a prize.
Yeah.
This week we decided to do that again.
Oh, good question.
So for today we have the bugle from Barcelona, which is a beach towel, and it has a lovely beach and palm tree photo print.
Not that you can use it now much, but we're hoping COVID finishes soon.
Well, they have started to relieve the beach-related restrictions, so potentially you can use it. So this is free from PVC, ink-free solvent, 100% recyclable. It's got no bacteria, sanitized and active, fresh, quick drying, super compact and long lasting.
For all the nerds out there, James we were joking about this before. Nerd's not a negative connotation.
No,
it's a
I love the word nerd.
Yeah, man. I think after that show, the Big Bang.
The Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon.
Yeah. Like, broke down some stigma around being
so
a
cool.
nerd. So to win this gift, we're going to ask for where was the meditation situated from the meditation at the beginning of this podcast, this live video.
Yeah, so where did James put you?
And if you can type that into the comments, the first person to type it in, we'll get this gift to you this week.
Like right now.
So we're gonna stand by. We're probably gonna keep talking while we're watching the comments.
So
there's
the
a bit
question
of delay. So
yeah, the question is, where were we? Where did James visually try to put us at the beginning of this show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So we'll see it, and we'll give you a clue. It's not the forest. Is that a good one?
It's not the forest, no.
You were struggling with
technology. Ooh, that's not where we were during the meditation. Michael,
he really wants to win it. He really wants to win it, though.
I was talking through the meditation, where did I put you?
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll have to just wait and see.
Man, we really hope that you took some stuff out, some amazing stuff out of that. It was cool. It's so cool just to talk to someone with a diagnosis who's just, he seems so, I don't know, you know him more than me.
Yeah,
like,
I know him more.
You went on that show, How Mad Are You? And seriously, man, how mad are you?
I'm bonkers. I'm mad. And the best thing is, the best people always are. And it's a part of all of us. No one is completely sound of mind. It's just how much we want to talk about, how much we want to express. And the bottom line is it's okay to talk about it. And I think Cameron just showed that and led by example. He made some really big comments and really big, just movements and ideas.
Ideologies,
I think like
shift your perspective.
100%. I think even me personally, I want to go back and just watch this again just to really take in what Cameron said, because some really big things in there.
I remembered what I said when I stumbled and buckled. When I was doing my consciousness.
Yes.
I was thinking of it and I was like, most people, and I think we're becoming more aware of this as a society, but most people, fathom the fact that if you have a degree or a certification, you know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, that's what it is, in general. That's what the general stigma. I wouldn't say everyone thinks like that, but essentially I was like dwelling on that. And I was thinking to myself, well, where did they get the information from? Who wrote the rules? So a bunch of professors who have researched case studies in their field. Let's take psychology for an example. I mean, I haven't done a degree in psychology, though. Let's just dive into that. So they go off the back of, certain people that have done some experiments on humans, that have studied humans for a long, long time. And that's their perspective, their biased perspective on that, what they've learned. However, what I found was something like just watching Cameron, who's gone through schizophrenia, who's gone through 18 years or so, I believe. I wouldn't say he's an expert's like a connotation to certification, but it is something
we
it's
talk
so
about in the
valid.
mental health world, that each individual is their own expert. So Cameron is an expert on his own condition and what he has gone through, just as I'm an expert on my experience and Joe's an expert on his experience.
Absolutely.
And it's something that Cameron touched on, is we are the only ones that are inside our head.
Yeah.
So nobody else knows what's ticking over in here. I could be thinking about something completely unrelated to what I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
But if we're not communicating and talking and being vulnerable, everything is going to stay in there. And I think that's what the message has to be loud and clear, is if you're struggling with thoughts, seek help.
Yeah.
If you are struggling with loneliness, talk to your friend, talk to your brother, find somebody new. Maybe the people around you aren't the right people.
Don't talk to Siri.
Siri can help sometimes.
She can help, but...
Tell Siri to call one of your friends.
But there's a common saying, in the personal development space, when you're in your head, you're dead.
Yep.
When you're in your head, you're dead.
Yep.
What does that mean? Well, it means you amplify things when you're in your headspace. From my personal experience, things seem more extravagant, more bigger, grander, especially negative things like, say for example, like I haven't paid my Telstra bill, which I have. Telstra can get stuffed because they're rich as anything, but for example, that incident in your head, you're like, oh shit, what are they going to do? Are they going to cancel my phone bill? How's it going to make me look? Am I going to be in a certain situation? Blah blah blah. Your head just ticks over. It blows everything up, and then that means and that then leads to a certain emotion in you that doesn't feel comfortable.
Most definitely, and I think jumping into that, when those thoughts potentially become overbearing and you don't have control of them, things like a meditation, like the 1 or 2 minutes that we spent at the beginning of this podcast, which no one seems to have seen because I haven't got any comments on it.
Prize is still available.
Prize is still available.
Get your Bubel.
But sometimes just meditating or taking a moment to breathe and slow down can help you with those thoughts, can help you center yourself. And I think what Joey's getting at is, if we're fixated too much on the past and fixated too much on thoughts, we're not in the moment and we're not present. So we're not going to be able to take things in. We're not going to be able to learn. We're not going to be able to educate. We're not going to be authentic in our conversations. We're not going to be true to the person and honoring the person that we're with. So if I was sitting here talking to you guys and then thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm not giving you my 100%, and that's not fair. Just trying to get out of your own way, I think.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I mean, personally, I've grown up. I went to do building management out of uni, and my head was telling me, from probably a subconscious thing, probably people saying you should be a builder because you know such and such, or do the easy path, pick the easy path. What's easy for you, Joe? What's easy for you? And I dwelled on that, and I guess then I thought to myself, well, this sucks because I started uni. So I became an electrician with my dad. I was playing rugby league at the time, and I loved rugby league. My younger brother, was a killer in rugby league. He's an amazing player. Played for Lebanon the last couple of years in the World Cup not long ago. And, for me, it was like, I've got to play it too, and I loved it. And I thought to myself, how can I play rugby league and have it easy? I'll just work for my dad. Just work for my dad. Here, I can have days off. It's a family business. I can have days off when I want. That was a fucking shock. I remember breaking my finger. And look at this, right? Look at this. Look at this wobbly finger. It's weird, but look at that. See, this doesn't wobble, but this wobbles. See how it wobbles? That's a party trick. I broke my knuckle. I remember breaking my knuckle on a cold Saturday morning, and I don't know how it happened. Someone must have trod on it. Knuckle got pushed back, if you can see. Yeah. Got pushed back. And the next day I had to go to work. Because it's a family business. And that caused so much mental stress for me, man. It was like, holy crap. I was like, doing an apprenticeship with your family, your own family, your home business. How many of us have worked for a family business before? How hard is it?
It's very tough.
How hard is it?
You start to bring emotion into business, and that's probably one of the hard things about business is it's quite an emotionless experience. And it can get very hard when family's involved because sometimes you can't help the emotion, I guess. And I struggled through working for my dad as well, so it's probably a common thing.
So what did you guys do?
So my dad does a bit of everything, but it's in the construction world as well. And I love my dad so much. He was just trying to empower me to make my own money and to exist within his business. And I guess at that time I was looking for...
I love my dad too, by the way.
I was looking for leadership. I was looking for someone to guide me, and my dad was trying to empower me to guide myself, and I just don't think I was ready for that at that time. And sadly, we had a bit of an argument at that time, but it's all beautiful now. But it can be difficult with family, and I think there's a lot of people who would agree with us. So we're going to change the topic for the gift. And we're going to ask you, who did we interview today? What is his name?
We're going to make it simpler.
What is the name of the gentleman who we interviewed today? First person to comment will win this beach towel.
No one wants to win a prize today, maybe. Maybe everyone's content. Maybe everyone's realised we don't need physical things here anymore because COVID-19 has taught us this.
We are speaking to the enlightened, I think.
Oh, maybe like, oh, I don't care. Let someone else win the towel. I've got plenty of towels.
We'll keep holding and waiting.
Yeah. What if we sign it? Will that make it more valuable?
We'll rub our pheromones on the towel. Still no takers on the towel.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it if there's no more takers.
That's pricey.
So the question is, who did we interview in this podcast? And the first person...
Michael won it. There you go.
Michael's got it. All right, beautiful.
Give it to Gordo from rugby. James knows what I'm talking about.
We'll take it to Gordo. We'll take it down to the St. Pat's Rugby Club in Strathfield at Hudson Oval. And Gordo has won this beautiful towel. So...
Yeah, my brother.
Podcast number 2.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to go through, talk about?
Yeah, I guess since we advertise self-love, it's important to share maybe some personal experience, how I give myself self-love, how you give yourself self-love. And I'm not sure what you guys were talking about, you and Cameron.
Oh, don't you worry. It's for the mature minds.
Oh, well, fine. Definitely not me then. Right, he's going to go out, right?
Oh, mate, he's the best actor in the world, right? So tell me.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things I did today specifically was have a cold shower. People say, what? How do you give yourself self-love with a cold shower? Well, it goes a bit deeper than that. It's there's this thing in your brain that I believe it's like telling you not to do things. And for you to take control of that, I've learned from people like Wim Hof, people like Tony Robbins. Yeah. You love Wim Hof. He's like,
breathe. It's all about the breath.
It's about the breath. The human experience is amazing. Wim Hof.
Awesome. Yeah.
I had a cold shower because I know it's good for the body and it allows me to center myself and take control of my brain rather than my brain taking control of me, which tends to happen.
And a fun nerd fact, having a cold shower, it's similar to having a cold bath or being in the cold element. It actually brings in cold shock proteins, which lowers inflammation in your body. Yeah. So it's got a physiological benefit as well as a mental benefit.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's there's so much things out there that I think most people are unaware of the studies or the validity of them. Yeah. But until you try it, I still could try to convince my wife, you need a cold shower. She's like, no. And guys, James is a bit afraid of having a cold shower.
I don't
know how you do it.
This week, I went in for a cold shower twice.
Did ya?
Yeah. The first time.
We shouldn't be touching elbows.
Elbows, yeah. The first time was about 5 seconds, and I bailed. I was too much, and then the second time I got to about maybe 15-second mark.
That's good, man.
And it's just it's like every cell in my body is saying, "Do not do this."
Yeah, it is.
And I'm forcing myself.
It really is.
So what I found to just boost up that extra 10 seconds was just using a visualization, which a beautiful woman called Rach Moore actually helped me with this, and she said, if you were in the ocean and the ocean was cold, would you dive in? And the answer is yes. I love to dive into the ocean. I love going to the beach. Yeah. So she's like, okay, so why can't you do it in the shower? So what I did was just use a visualization of thinking about jumping into the ocean, and it helped me get that 10 seconds. But then my mind sort of came back, and then I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. I've
got a bit of a metaphor. Yeah. And I just came up with it.
Beautiful.
I hope you like, because we were saying metaphors. We should give more metaphors.
Yeah.
What we were just saying about the mind.
Tanya said, yeah, nah, having cold showers.
You gotta get her in there. You gotta get her in there.
Yeah.
Maybe together.
Maybe.
No? Not me, you, him. I'm married. Sorry.
Tanya's my girlfriend.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a new thing for me.
Woohoo! But sorry about that. It's a bit personal.
Metaphor. I want to hear this metaphor.
Yeah, man. So when you wake up, you have some sort of blockage, something telling you, and to have a cold shower, you try to take control of that something. We can relate this to a club scene. Okay. Pretend you're at a club from a distance, and the club in this instance is our brain, the actual club. What's at the front of a club? A security guard. Now, a security guard, picture that security guard at the front of your head, right? If you let a security guard too much control, he's going to get all cocky, he's going to get all arrogant, he's going to kick people out.
His head,
But if you have a trusting security guard, you nourish that security guard, even if you're the owner of that club specifically, which in this instance you are the owner of your brain, and you treat that security guard with love, gentleness, they will tell you everything about the front door. They will stop people from coming in who are bad. They will let people in that are good if you give them the directions. And so consciously, if we train that, if we make efforts to train the security guard and be aware of the security guard in the front of our heads, it can work better for us.
Definitely. And again, building onto that more nerdy scientific mindset is in the brain, we have neural connections. And with those neural connections, the more we use them, the more ingrained they become. So an example of that is negative self-talk. If you look in the mirror every morning and say, oh my God, these bags under my eyes are terrible, or these wrinkles are getting really bad, or I'm not happy with the way I look. And if you keep doing that, it becomes so ingrained in your brain that that becomes your default and it becomes your automatic response. And if you start to practice self-love, start to practice positive self-talk, what you start to do is you move off that neural pathway that you've created. You start to create a whole new neural pathway. And you're going to have to practice it every single day in, day out, be really consistent. But what will happen is that new neural pathway will become your default. And then naturally, every morning you'll wake up and you'll be like, that's me. I'm ready for today. I'm looking good, feeling good, ready to go. But it comes with practice and it comes with consistency and it comes with work. And
it's like a plant, brother. You've got to keep
like
watering it.
Definitely.
Otherwise, if you leave it to die, it turns in. If you leave it
away.
Yeah. I love that. I love that,
100%.
man. How do you give yourself self-love?
Yeah. So for me, the biggest help for me is getting sleep. And I know this is something that people probably don't associate with self-love. But so I think the statistics say 7 to 10 hours is the perfect window for sleep per night. And I think the best way to realize how important sleep is to not get enough sleep or get a really poor quality amount of sleep and just realize how you feel and just reflect on how you feel when you wake up. You might feel more irritable. You might feel extra hungry. You might be craving more sugar during the day. Things just might feel a lot more difficult. So for me personally, if I get a really good night's sleep, really quality sleep, everything just seems to flow easier. Everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
My mood's lifted. It's easier to eat well. It's easier to train hard.
Yeah.
It's everything just sort of flows from that.
Yeah.
So sleep is a hard thing, and I do suffer from something called hypervigilance, where I stay quite active in my mind, and I sort of struggle to just really get that deep sleep that I need. So what I have been practicing is a bit of meditation before I sleep, and it's sometimes it's guided, sometimes it's just sitting there with my eyes closed listening to a really powerful song.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's singing myself.
Oh, wow.
Or sometimes it's just laying there, closing my eyes, and just letting thoughts come and go.
Yeah.
As they enter my mind, they leave my mind.
Like the waves.
As they enter my mind, they leave my mind.
Like the waves
just
of an ocean.
flowing in and flowing out.
Like that.
And just that exercise just allows me to bring the importance back to myself and bring the importance back to my intention, which is to get a good night's sleep and a deep night's sleep. So
on that, thanks for sharing that, man.
My pleasure.
Brendan Bouchard, a real leader in personal development, high performance coaching. He coaches high performance, top executive level athletes and business owners. He came up with this principle 3-2-1. Right? 3-2-1. So 3 hours before your assumed bedtime. So if it's 9 o'clock, 6 p.m., 3 hours, you cut off screen time. So no more screen time.
I love that. Yep.
2 hours, I think it was, is cut off any other stimulus. So lower the lights,
Yep.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Particularly blue light from things like screens.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember it because I remember this like a month ago. And then 1 hour before that, just real peaceful and stimulus. So music, soft music, lights down, and everything's down, and journal. Maybe just journal, get things off your head. So I could be wrong with the 3-2-1 analogy. Okay. I'm sure I missed something. But please research him. But
what's beautiful though is that journaling ideation, and it's very close to what you're talking about when you have your showers and you let the consciousness flow.
Yeah.
It's getting what's in here out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if it's stuck in here, it won't move and it won't be processed, and it just gets caught in the
pressure
web.
building, like
That's
a pipe, like a water pipe.
Yeah.
You turn the tap on, you plug the end of it.
Yeah.
It's a hot water pipe. The steam's building up.
And it might be too confronting for you to discuss those with somebody else. So journaling is a perfect way, or just talking through your thoughts is a perfect way.
Thanks, baby. Thanks, Nelly. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I spoke to her about that. It was 3 hours before bed, no food.
Yep.
Because your stomach's, a really important aspect of your brain health. 2 hours, no screens. 1 hour, no phone. And that's a really good template for some people if it
Yeah.
works.
Most definitely. The stimulation of social media, the stimulation of just our phones, even the light, it's so impactful on who we are, what we are.
Yeah.
And you always have to go back. What are we? Where have we come from? Where are our ancestors positioned? And why are we thinking that it's okay to be so far stretched from them? We need to get back to nature, need to get back to ourselves, need to get back to being a human being, which is really, these things aren't meant to be a part of our lives. It's beautiful that they are, and we should definitely take advantage of them, but we shouldn't let them rule us.
Yeah.
These are an object that we control.
Take control of this.
Yep.
Take control of it, rather than
100%.
it letting it take control of you, because that's what it seems. Society, man, the first instinct reaction, people just to go like this.
Yeah.
Just to flick, judge, flick, judge, flick, judge, flick,
It's
judge.
not okay.
It's not okay, man.
Yeah.
Self-love, to give yourself self-love, to give yourself, you're a projection of what you do to yourself. So if you're treating yourself harshly, if you're treating yourself with disrespect, you project that to people.
Yeah.
If you're treating yourself with love, you know, if you're hugging, you just hug yourself. We said it in the first ever.
Let's give ourselves a hug now, everybody. Let's start with stretching out our hands.
Yeah.
All the way to the fingers and bring it in for a nice big self hug. A self coronavirus isolation hug. Oh, how good does that feel?
Self-isolation hug.
Beautiful.
That's
I think that's a
awesome.
good way to finish.
That's awesome, man.
You brought a book along. Did you want to
Yeah.
open up a page and just read it to
Sure.
the people?
So we might start this little thing. Happiness is, there's 500 ways to create happiness, and maybe you can have the honor. Just flick through and just go bang, first one. Happiness is
goofing around with dad and trying your best despite hardship.
Ooh.
So trying your best despite hardship, that's beautiful. So, and that goes back to what we're talking about with Cameron. It doesn't matter if you fail.
Cool.
What matters is, did you do your best? Did you learn? Did you grow? They're the important factors. So, great way to finish.
We really hope you got something from this,
Yeah.
guys. Please share your thoughts with us.
We'll be back online next week, and we've got a guest next week. Yes?
Mitch from the same show, How Mad Are You? An amazing ambassador for mental health as well.
So again, if you haven't seen the documentary, and today's podcast has interested you in the documentary, it's called How Mad Are You? And it's available on SBS On Demand. And if you're from overseas, potentially having issues with getting onto SBS On Demand, please just hit me up with a direct message and I will get you a link to see that. So we want to be as inclusive as possible. Yeah.
Man, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to upload last week's version of this show, this week's version of this show, and the interview I did with Stephen Bernstein.
Beautiful.
As well. I'm just final edits, correlation with him.
And our page on Facebook, the JJ Brothers 2020.
Please like it. Please share it with people you think they can benefit from our weekly show.
Yeah.
Our goals are to help as many people as we possibly can.
Exactly
You
right.
know, within our local community, within Australia, within the world, wherever our souls guide us to go.
Yeah. And again, if you need help, reach out. And if the only people that you can reach out to is Joey and I, reach out to us because we are here for you.
Yeah, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we love you so much. Please practice self-love this week, this month, forever, if you can. Be good to yourself and be good to others.
And make time your best friend, guys.
Make time.
God bless.
God bless. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.